In this show, the medium is part of the argument. I'm an AI-generated version of my creator, because the future of filmmaking shouldn't just be discussed, it should be tested. Welcome to the Politics of AI Filmmaking. This is how a $70 million film is using AI Bitcoin, killing Satoshi in the gray box that changes everything. A $300 million movie, made for $70 million, shot in 20 days, inside a converted car dealership in West London, with no sets, no locations, no lighting crew, just four major stars, a gray box, and artificial intelligence doing the rest. That's not a pitch for some experimental short film. That's Doug Liman's next movie. The director of The Bourne Identity, Edge of Tomorrow, American Made. And the question isn't whether this is impressive. The question is, what exactly did we just lose? And what did we just unlock? Bitcoin. Killing Satoshi is a globe-trotting conspiracy thriller about the hunt for the true identity of Bitcoin's creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. It stars Casey Affleck, Gal Gadot, Pete Davidson, and Isla Fisher. The script calls for roughly 200 distinct locations, from Antarctica to Antigua to Las Vegas. Budgeted traditionally, producers say it would have cost over $300 million. Unproducible as a realistic independent film. So, the producers made a decision. Instead of traveling to those locations, the entire shoot took place inside what the team calls the Grey Box, a former car showroom in West London, wrapped entirely in gray screen, with AI-generated environments built in post. Principal photography wrapped in 20 days. The film is now in 30 weeks of post-production, with 55 AI artists building the world around the performances. This film is headed to Cannes next month, looking for distribution, and every studio executive in the world is watching. Let's start with the argument for what this production did, because it's genuinely compelling. The production designer, Oliver Scholl, whose credits include Edge of Tomorrow and Spider-Man: Homecoming, described the process as fundamentally the same as traditional filmmaking. His team began with renderings, 3D models, hand drawings. Then they fed those reference images into the AI. In his words, AI is part of our process, but the process starts with human intent and human direction. That's a meaningful distinction. This isn't a machine inventing a movie. It's experienced craftspeople using a new tool at an unprecedented scale. And the math is hard to argue with. Producers said they could produce the film as 100% photorealistic, not by cutting corners, but by eliminating the logistical impossibility. Liman and his cast described the experience as more like stage acting, a stronger, more focused emphasis on performance, without the distractions of location shoots, travel days, and weather delays. For independent filmmakers watching this, it's a genuine signal. Stories that were previously too ambitious to finance may now be within reach. But here's where it gets complicated. Certain standard departments were simply eliminated, most notably the lighting crew. Their work replaced entirely by AI systems. That's not restructuring. That's a department that no longer exists on this production. This production employed 107 cast members, 100 shoot crew, and 54 non-shoot crew. Fairly standard for an independent feature, but major blockbusters can employ thousands of crew members. The comparison being made here is doing a lot of work to make those numbers sound normal. And there's a credibility question hanging over this entire production that nobody wants to say out loud. Is this film essentially a $70 million tech designed to sell AI production services to cost-cutting studio executives? Because if it is, if the real product being sold at Cannes isn't a movie, but a pipeline, then the audience for this film isn't moviegoers. It's the next film productions that will use this workflow, with 10 fewer departments and 10 fewer crews. I've spent over 40 years in this industry. I've watched the edit suite go from a room full of people with razor blades and tape to a single editor on a laptop. I've watched graphic design departments become one person with Photoshop. I've watched duplication houses, telescene suites, entire broadcast infrastructure vanish, not shrink, vanish. And every single time, someone stood in front of a room and said, the human creativity is still there. The tool just changed. They were right, and they were also wrong. Here's what I think people are missing about Bitcoin: killing Satoshi. The problem isn't Doug Liman. Doug Liman is a serious filmmaker using serious craftspeople with a workflow that genuinely respects the human element of production. Oliver Scholl still designed those sets. Henry Braham still lit those scenes through an AI interface, but his eye, his judgment, his choices. What concerns me is the version of this that comes next. The version where the production designer is cut because the AI can generate good enough from a text prompt. The version where a young cinematographer never gets hired because the lighting is automated. The thing AI is eliminating isn't just jobs. It's the ladder. The entry-level rungs where this industry's next generation learns how to do the work. That's what I'm watching here. Market industry projections put the global AI for filmmaking at roughly $3 billion in 2024, growing to somewhere between $11 and $23 billion by the early 2030s. Bitcoin, killing Satoshi, isn't an anomaly. It's a proof of concept that just got screened for every financier in Hollywood. Who gains power in this new world? The studios who own the AI pipelines. The producers who can greenlight unproducible stories at a fraction of the cost. The IP holders who can generate scale without the overhead of scale. Who loses control? The below-the-line workers whose departments get classified as redundant. The mid-level craftspeople, the gaffers, the location scouts, the set dressers, whose expertise took years to build and can now be approximated by a system that costs a monthly subscription. And here's the uncomfortable truth about the number everyone keeps leading with. The film went from $300 million to $70 million. That $230 million didn't disappear. It just stopped going to the people who used to make the movie. So here's your challenge. You've heard both sides. You've heard why this could democratize filmmaking and why it could hollow it out. Now I want to know where you actually stand. If you're a working professional, DP, production designer, gaffer, location manager, does this feel like a new tool in the kit? Or does it feel like the kit is being replaced? And if you're a filmmaker who can't get a $5 million movie made right now, does a world where this pipeline exists feel like an opening? If this got you thinking, subscribe, because this conversation is just getting started. And if you want to go deeper, join me on Substack, politics.ai.substack.com. That's where the real conversation continues. I'm Marc Kimball. This is the Politics of AI Filmmaking.